I would like to jump right into this. Let's begin by thinking about some of the biggest enemies out there: evil dictators like Stalin, Hitler, Mussolini, injustices like slavery, genocide, trafficking, etc., depressions like economic crashes, famine, war, misinformation like lies, controlled media, and money schemes, corruption in politics, government, legal system, and business owners. These are all bad enemies that people fight against or build movement against. Every movement has an enemy, even if it's subtle, even if it's not something super clear like one of those examples. Every movement has an enemy, but there's one underlying enemy beneath it all. When this idea came into my head, I decided to go for a walk and let my mind sit with this idea. There's so much bad in the world, but there are people who this bad doesn't even phase. It doesn't even get to them. They aren't victims to a system. They don't allow negativity to ruin their life experience, while also acknowledging that it is there. And they put themselves in the position to play their part to begin fighting the enemies important to them. This is the category I've fallen under. I'm aware of all these enemies and all these bad things that are out there. I'm not a victim. Those things don't hold me back. I take my power so that way I can create myself, build myself up so that way I can decide to create a movement and fight one of these enemies. You can't do that if you play a victim. If you want to fight evil and battle an enemy, you need to lift yourself up, reclaim your personal power, so that way you can build a movement and then go battle an enemy. I'm not falling victim to past traumas, to imperfect experiences, to a lack of anything. I'm setting myself up for power and reality creation. And anybody else can do this too once they understand the one underlying enemy. Let's go back to these big enemies. Evil dictators all had followers. That's why they were so powerful. Hitler was useless if there weren't 15 million Nazis behind his movement. Slave owners were supported by people who captured slaves and people who sold and traded slaves and people who bought them. Those are people supporting that movement. Economic depressions happen when a mass amount of people worry and liquidate their money. When the people do that, when a mass amount of people do that, misinformation works because people believe what they see without searching for themselves. People, have you noticed the pattern? The biggest enemy in the world enemies aren't the same as that they used to be. The biggest enemies in the modern world aren't the same as in the past world. The bear threatening the tribe, the bear threatening the village, or the snowstorm coming in and giving us hypothermia. These are not our enemies anymore. We have evolved upward. They're not the enemy. The biggest enemies all have a movement of manipulated people behind them. That's the pattern. It's important to look at how these movements are created so that we can understand them. We can then avoid them, leading us to the bigger picture view of raising ourselves up because we're not falling victim or falling trap or becoming manipulated into these evil movements. So that way we can build ourselves up with personal power to then fight any enemy of our choice from that state of being powerful, of not being victim or not being not being trapped. So, if creating an evil movement is by manipulating a mass amount of people, if we want to understand how this is done, so we don't fall into it, so our friends and our family don't fall into it, so we can rise ourselves up and battle any enemy of our choice, we must look at the most efficient ways people manipulate a mass amount of people, because that's how these evil movements are created. what things do people do all day for hours on end? Watch TV, listen to music, scroll social media. Okay, why? Who are the people trying to control the media? We must take a look at the advertisements and the common patterns and the people paying for this to happen. Now, in 2025, roughly 24% of advertisement time was for pharmaceuticals. 24%. 23% of ads were for food or snacks. So about half of the ads on TV are making people unhealthier. You don't believe me? Someone's watching TV, they see an ad for a restaurant and then a snack. They realize how hungry they are. They order Uber Eats for the restaurant they just saw. Or maybe not, maybe it just prompts how hungry they are. They still order Uber Eats. They head to the pantry to grab the snack while they wait for their order. And this happens 3 to 4 times a week on average in America. The person or entire family then gets obese, high blood pressure, needs to lose weight, heart problems, and more. Then the pharmaceutical ads that are all on TV, they buy up 24% of ad time, put it right in your face. So it sounds like the obvious solution. It's right there in front of you when you're watching TV. So they buy those. The drugs damage their liver, disrupt healing, and cover up symptoms, and they don't actually solve problems. This ensures you needing health insurance of $500 plus person a month just to pay more out of pocket when things do go wrong. Then it's payday for the hospitals, big pharma corporations, and insurance companies, and the food companies that are advertising on your TV. Mass manipulation. Think about it. Television. A TV program may be programming your life. That's a modern example of how evil movements are built, manipulating people into becoming a follower. A follower. You can defend yourself from the trap of ever falling into an evil movement by not outsourcing yourself. If you stop outsourcing yourself, you are breaking any chances of mass manipulation into an evil movement. From here, if it aligns with what you want to do with your life, with your current situation, from that state, you can then step into helping others break free from evil movements, fighting against an enemy, if you are not manipulated. The enemy is outsourcing yourself. The underlying enemy that I mentioned a few minutes ago, the underlying enemy beneath this all is outsourcing yourself. Deeply engrave this into your being. Outsourcing your mind to TV, like we talked about. Outsourcing your health to a healthcare system and to big food companies and to big pharma. Outsourcing your energy to low-frequency people and poor environments and victim mentalities and limiting beliefs. The more you outsource, the less power you have for yourself. Therefore, the less power you have to fight an enemy. And not everything has to be so directly battling one enemy, but every movement has some kind of thing that they're moving away from or moving against. There will be some subtle enemy there, even if it's not super clear to you, and it doesn't have to be aggressive. But the more personal power you have, the more you can fight an enemy. Now, let's imagine that you are in a restaurant. The menu has 20 options. You're stuck between all of these options. You're so stuck that you don't really know what to order at all. You aren't stuck between one or two things. You're stuck between anything. Then the waitress comes around and asks if everybody's ready to order. You shrink a bit. You tell her, no, I'll need a few minutes. Thank you. And you make no further progress by the time she comes back the next time. This is me almost every single time I go out to a restaurant. This led me to believe that choice is a limitation. You think you have 20 choices, but really you only have one choice, and that's what your heart truly wants. Oftentimes when I'm out to eat, I don't want seed oils. I don't want fried food. I don't want low protein. I don't want refined carbs. I don't want these crap foods. Not because I have to be healthy, but really my body just doesn't feel that. My heart deeply knows this, and it wants a delicious home-cooked meal for a fraction of the cost. That's what I feel. That's what I like. So, giving me 20 options at a menu, on a menu at a restaurant, actually limits me from getting the one thing that I know that I want. It's the limitation of options that makes me think that I have to choose, but outside of the box is what the heart actually wants. And I got this realization for my restaurant example, but here's how it connects. If you know deep down that you want to learn the guitar in your free time, but your TV limits you to the options of the movies and shows that Netflix offers, you have hundreds of choices on Netflix. That's like the menu at the restaurant. It's the shiny object. Hey, you have these options right here. But what if you want to play guitar? What if you want to build a side project or a side hustle? What if you want to connect and build more love in your family? What if you want to go meet new people? That's the outside of the box. That's the delicious home-cooked meal when you are stuck in the limitation of the menu of what Netflix is giving you. This is outsourcing yourself. That's what that looks like. This is a loss of freedom. When you lose your freedom, you have no sovereignty. And therefore, you lose your high energy and your positivity, which is your powerhouse for taking your power back. If you want your power back, you must have enthusiasm. You must have passion. You must have care. And then you must have the energy to execute. You can't be exhausted. You can't be tired. You can't be low energy. You must have the energy to execute. Taking your power back is the vessel. Taking your power back is the vessel to not fall victim to manipulation. When you control your own power, you become capable of living for yourself, not relying on external sources. Now, this isn't to say that external sources are all bad or all out to get you or will manipulate you. That's not true. But you may free yourself of relying on them. You do not have to rely on them. So, a quick recap. Every powerful movement has an enemy that they are battling against. We have understood that evil movements are created by a mass amount of people working with the movement. They're behind the movement. They support the movement. Now, people get you on their side by mass manipulation, by tricking you. Now, you do not want to outsource yourself because you will fall victim to being manipulated. Now, outsourcing yourself doesn't mean that you can't enjoy going out to a restaurant. You can't enjoy a movie. That's not true. You can enjoy those things, but you don't have to rely on them. From this place, you have more energy. You are more free. You are enthusiastic. You are simply just a higher frequency being. You can then have this personal power. With this personal power, create your own movement to do whatever you want. Now, what does sovereignty unlock for you? What does the power of being able to do whatever you want unlock for you? I'll go into a little story with my experience. I am obsessed with two things. One is freedom. I've lived in a van for 2 months. I took 2 random trips across the country for 1 month each time. One to Augusta, Georgia, one to Austin, Texas. I'm creating an online income for financial freedom, for time freedom, for location freedom, so I can be free. I want to own land and grow food and raise animals. I don't want a landlord to tell me what I can and can't do. I want my food to be created within. I want freedom. It shows up in all these different ways. Now, the second thing that I am obsessed with is peak performance. I love deep, focused work. I love pushing my body, playing pickup football and basketball. I love pushing myself in breath work and holding my breath. I push my mind to openness and new ideas and growing past judgments and stubbornness and seeing how good I can feel in my days. Now, these two obsessions pair perfectly together because they also align with taking your power back. And now, even if you are not obsessed with those two things, like I am, you can still take principles from these ideas to apply into your own personal power. When you're feeling high energy, you then have the opportunity to live with more life force, to follow the hobby that you've desired, or to build the side project that you've dreamt of, and to spend time with who you love. Doing these things creates freedom and sovereignty. Now, if I hadn't aligned with these two values, I would not be here recording this right now. I wouldn't have bought my van. I'd be spending tons of money on distractions and outsourcing myself. I wouldn't have any clue toward what my goals are or where my values lay, and I don't know what I would want my future to look like. Having a clear understanding makes everything else easier. Having a clear understanding of all those things makes everything else easier. These are the things that will go into you building up your movement and building up your personal power. Having understanding about your goals and your values and who you are and where your power lies will make things easier. I just repeated myself. You'll find a partner easier because you understand your values and you can see their values. Finding a career path gets easier because you know what energizes you. You know what you are naturally gifted at. And you know how you can align yourself to be as successful as possible in that domain. Building friendships and other relationships gets easier. Achieving goals is easier. Everything gets easier because you're at a place of high energy and you have the initiative to take things into your own hands as well. Your personal power has 3 pillars with some sub-pillars for each. Number 1 is mindset, your mental health, subconscious programming, habits, routines, your goals, values, motivations, the vision, things like that. Number 2 is your physical health, proper nutrition, alignment with nature, a free moving body, how good you feel during the day, your physical energy, things like that. Number 3 is your lifestyle, the identity that you embody, action towards freedom, embodying and not craving or desiring. These 3 all work together. Your mindset and your physical health are hand in hand. Your lifestyle follows. Kind of. You're in a better mental state, so you get excited for your physical health. Your physical health is awesome, so your mental state naturally follows suit with the body. It ebbs and flows in and out. In the immediate mornings, I focus on mental health with 20 minutes of meditation, doing deep, fulfilling work, breath work, grounding, getting sunlight. Then into the afternoon, I work on physical health with a walk, some movement, a workout, nutrition. And then in the evenings, I slow down again, enjoy life, do some hobbies, some extra work. I read, whatever it may be. You must prime yourself for being at peak performance. Every action that you take has the goal of feeling good. What will make me feel good? What will energize me? Once you set yourself up for success, you can then begin to deviate from the original path. You can enjoy a restaurant meal. You can stay up till 2 a.m., have a few drinks, whatever it may be, because you've given yourself this energetic baseline that allows for the deviation. But in the beginning, you must dedicate every action to creating regenerative energy for yourself. When you fail to do this, you plummet. This is when falling for evil movements happen. This is when big corporations, or pendulums, as Reality Transurfing puts it, it's when these things swoop in and manipulate you. When you are not at your peak sovereignty and energy, there is room for manipulation to slip between the cracks. That's why it's important to begin now. We've all been sucked into manipulation at some level, but that doesn't mean that we can't break free. You can start aligning your mindset, your physical health, and your lifestyle starting today. Personal power, creating sovereignty and creating energy. Building your personal power is a holistic system. That's why it spans across mindset, physical health, and lifestyle embodiment. So we'll go over all three a little bit. Now, first for mindset, you must be extremely careful of what crosses your consciousness. You must be. What are the lyrics of the music you listen to? Analyze that. What are the themes or plots of the movies and the shows you watch? What are the characters doing? How are they acting? Analyze that. What outrageous things happen in books or movies or news or social media posts that you're watching? Analyze that. Analyze these things. Even if it doesn't seem like it, media is mass propaganda. Here's how. Scenes of murder, outbursts of rage, horrible marriages, lazy people, drug use, horror, riots, crazy sex things are all common in media. This is so when it happens in reality, people are used to these things. It's not shocking to the nervous system because they've seen it all before in movies, in the media. It desensitizes you so that way they can further get into your mind and get you into that mass manipulated state. That's why they desensitize you with light little bits. So that way it's not as shocking when it happens in the real world. That's one part of mindset. Another thing is to do not think of any thoughts that don't support you. Why would you say, I suck at running, or I'm not strong enough, or I can't do whatever? These things only program your mind into believing your own failure. Negative self-talk is the worst form of manipulation possible. And the worst thing about it is that we do that to ourselves. You can be truthful while still supporting yourself. I suck at running turns into I can run if I want to. I can do that. I'm not strong enough turns into I'm not strong enough yet. I can't do XYZ turns into I am open to learning about that. Any form of doubt within you will strip your energy in some form. Always choose to believe in thoughts that support you and know that you can still be honest. I'm extremely careful with the words that I use. I wouldn't want to accidentally program myself into low frequency being because of words. Your words are extremely important. Think, you spell a word. Words are casting energetic spells, and every word gives off a vibration. This is proven by Masaru Emoto's studies with water and remembering energy of words. He would speak a word or write a word into a glass of water, and then he would study what do the water molecules look like. The ones who had high frequency words like I love you or thank you or care or God had beautiful water molecules. The ones that said I hate you, you disgust me, had ugly blobs of water molecules. And you are made of water, to be honest. So every word is emitting that frequency, that vibration, and your body will pick up on that. Once you begin to curate your spell casting, your speaking, you will begin to live in a more high vibrational state. This puts you more in tune with your intuition. And then your intuition, or your gut feeling, your inner knowingness, your guide, your connection with God, is something that you can begin following. This will guide you to unexpected places. It's what led me to moving into a van, choosing where to travel, choosing what to write about, and subtle energies to guide conversations. And more than that too. So that's all about your mindset. Now on to physical health. Your mind and your body are deeply connected. In fact, there's no separation, but for the sake of developing our skills and our freedom and our energy, it's easier to separate the mind and the body, just for sake of easier understanding and concept creation and just creating some routines and habits, just easier to separate. Priming your body for peak health is a direct way to create energy, physical energy. You get good sleep, you wake up with more energy. You move your body, you are generating energy. You eat a quality meal, you are filling yourself with quality energy. It's the easiest baseline for energy, physical health is, because you get pretty immediate feedback. You try something, your energy goes up or down, you can continue to do that or you cannot. It's like an immediate feedback loop pretty much. This makes physical health quite easy actually. And after working with 25 plus people on their holistic health, I've narrowed it down to the 6 most important things. There's more than 6. These are just 6 easy ones. First is getting good sleep. Second is aligning with nature, getting in the sun, touching the bare earth, things like that. Getting negative electrons from running water in nature, super powerful. A lot of people won't mention that. Number 3, quality nutrition, eating single ingredient foods, organic. 4, regulating your nervous system, reducing stress, reducing tension in the body, opening your mind up for anything. 5, proper body electricity, dodging EMFs whenever possible, getting the right flow throughout your body, negative electrons again, doing breath work. And 6 is full body movement, using your entire body. Now I could go on with these forever. I have multiple guides on physical health. It's been my main focus point on social medias lately. So if you want more info, you can definitely find it there. Also, if you want an intro course to holistic physical health that covers these 6 things, the link will be at the top of the description for you. But to put it simply, eat single ingredient and organic foods 90% of the time, get daily movement, watch the sunrise, watch the sunset, cut out artificial blue light after dark. It's why I have these glasses on. If you want some, there's a link in the description. You can get 40% off. Drink clean water with added minerals, a pinch of sea salt. Get negative electrons from charged water, natural running water, grounding, fresh air, and being in green environments will reduce stress. Meditation, practicing breath work, and lower your screen time. Just some general physical health things. If you are curious about more, reach out to me, because that just scratches the surface. Next is your lifestyle. You've now primed your mindset. You've primed your physical health. How does your lifestyle play a part? Your mindset supports your physical health. Your physical health supports your lifestyle. Your lifestyle pours back into mindset and physical health. Lifestyle is about embodiment. You shift up into the identity of being holistically healthy. You become the person who does these things with ease and happiness. You don't struggle to live a life of freedom and high energy because that's just who you are. Nobody would take advice from somebody who isn't embodied. I practice every single thing I have talked about in this article. You would not want to support yourself if you are not embodied. If you are not willing to shift your identity up into the high frequency lifestyle, if you are not willing to shift your identity into reclaiming personal power, then why should the mindset and the physical health follow? So the identity shift, The embodiment of the lifestyle actually comes first. Then the mindset, then the physical health follow. And that just confirms. You're like, oh yes, I am in this identity. And then you're shifting, you are continuing to live in that identity. So you are acting more positive in your mindset and you are caring more for your physical health. And that just confirms it once again. It's a positive loop. It's a positive cycle. That's why it's holistic. All of these things are deeply connected and play off of each other 100%. Now, nobody would take advice from somebody who isn't embodied. If you are not embodied, why would your body listen to you? Why would your body take advice from yourself? That was important enough to repeat. You must shift. I've been experiencing this right now. I've been wanting to try a new training and nutrition plan. I knew that first I must shift myself into the identity of the person who already lives like that. So I was studying, I was looking into it, kind of creating like a plan, kind of stuck in the planning. And then once I shifted my identity, I was like, yeah, I am really strong. I eat really well. I have very good flexibility and mobility, and I can move my body rotationally and freely. Once I shifted that, and once I had that in my head, once I saw myself envisioning, I closed my eyes and I visioned and I saw myself like that, I started eating differently. I started paying more attention to my nutrition. I started caring more. I tried the experiment that I wanted to try, and I started training every day. It was that simple because I saw myself being that person. So now you have all this knowledge. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. Freedom, high energy, an exciting life, holistic health, personal power, creating up your own movement. You see that. Now you must shift up into that. You must see yourself already in that identity. There is no gap between then and now. You are already living in that reality. Time just hasn't caught up yet. There is no wanting. There is no desire. There is no craving. You just are. Just be that. The mindset and the physical health will follow. The personal power and the enthusiasm will follow. This is what I've got for you. If you want to dive deeper, get some personalization, you can book a 20-minute call with me in the comments, in the description, I mean. There you have it.